Good morning to all. Respected Principal, Dr. Professor Ravi, and respected Madam, and dear faculty. Myself, I am from Central Sericulture Research Institute. It comes under Central Silk Board, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. We basically do research on sericulture. But my research areas in Central Silk Board mainly on silkworm probiotics. There are some bacteria, they can cause beneficial to the silkworm. We know only pathogens, but certain bacteria, they improve in digestion and also nutrient absorption and prevention of diseases. That area I worked on that. And also silkworm byproducts, silkworm pupae utilization we did. I think so far you've seen only silkworm rearing, mulberry cultivation, all those aspects. We do sericulture for what purpose? For production of silkworm cocoons in India. Then that is for the silk, for cloth generations, cloth manufacturing. Okay, cocoons, once if you take the silk, that is filament, silk thread, remaining is the silkworm pupa. Total weight, if you see the cocoon, 80% is the silkworm pupa, only 20 to 25% is silk. We are taking the silk protein, remaining pupa we are discarding. How best we can make use of the silkworm pupa for value addition, that we are going to talk on that. Currently India produces 27 tons of silkworm, raw silk from mulberry silk. There are eri silk is there, tassar silk is there, and muga silk also there. But we are mainly focusing on mulberry silk. It is the major component of all silks. And if you see that out of that, we can generate around 40,000 tons of silkworm pupa. Dry, it is not wet. If you dry it, almost we get 40,000 tons. Unlike any biological source, any biomass, silkworm pupa also contains proteins, vitamins, all nutrients, lipids. We will see what are those components. If you know the chemical composition of silkworm pupae, then we can think of how best we can use for the mainly livestock. This is nutrient composition of silkworm pupa. This we carried out in our laboratory. Silkworm pupa mainly contains, dry pupa contains 28% of lipids and 54% of proteins, and minerals or ash, it contains around 4.5%. I am telling here live pupa and spent. Live means just if you cut the cocoon, if you see as such, dry and see. Spent means some amount may be decomposed by some bacteria, or due to process some may lose it. So that also we compared the both components. Carbohydrates also contains around 4.7%. Free amino acids 5%. Vitamins contains very small percentage, only 0.03%. Even it contains some bioactive compounds like phenolic compounds, flavonoids also contains, and tannins also, very minor components. Then heavy metals. We studied heavy metals also. We know that any food component should not contain heavy metals. Lead, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, chromium, and nickel, all these we analyzed. All these are below permissible level. So there is no problem with these components if you make any animal feeds or human consumption. There is no issue with this. We see in the both all, I think 0.08% of lead and 0.005% of cadmium. Arsenic also very less, 0.05%. Mercury also very less, 0.00 parts per million, not percentage. Chromium also like that, only 0.033. And nickel also 0.024 parts per million. All these are below permissible level as per the FDA. And we carried out complete analysis of minerals. In addition to the heavy metals, minerals also we studied, all inorganic elements, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are the major inorganic elements present in silkworm pupae. Whole nitrogen, if you see, it is around 8.8%, and phosphorus around 1%, and potassium around 2%. And we know any fertilizer, if you see what it contains, NPK. All these components are there in the silkworm pupae. So directly waste pupa, if we are unable to dry and preserve it, just we can dump as a fertilizer. We can decompose it. It is very good for the agriculture crops. And in addition to that, it also contains calcium, magnesium, copper, zinc, and iron, manganese. All these are in very small percentage or in ppm level. And we carried out vitamin analysis also. Vitamins also contains, I told you, very minor component of the silkworm pupa. All these are micrograms per gram level only. B complex vitamin we studied were niacin, pyridoxine, pantothenic acid, biotin, thiamine, riboflavin, and folic acid. It contains cobalamin also. Out of all these B complex vitamins, pantothenic acid is quite higher than the compare with other vitamins. Biotin also 0.02%. So if you see, all these are very good for the any animal feeds. And in addition to the fat, water soluble vitamins, it contains fat soluble vitamins also. Particularly vitamin D contains, and tocopherol content is very high because it consumes the mulberry leaf. Any leaf component contains tocopherol. It contains around 25 nanograms per gram of the sample, and contains vitamin K also. And we know that these functions, these fat soluble vitamins, mainly they are good for the healthy skin and eyes, and also good for the blood clotting. We know vitamin K, all that. And also vitamin D, it is very important for the bone strength, and also against the immune system. It is also promotes the immune system. Yeah.
So how come it goes? Calcium blood clotting or it preserves the blood?
Which one?
Yes. It's good for blood clotting.
It prevents the blood clotting.
Prevents the blood clotting.
Vitamin K, whenever there is a cut, it promotes the blood clotting.
So it promotes it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only nutrients, pupa also contains some of the anti-nutrients. Anti-nutrients, we know that they interfere with blood clotting, digestion, all those things. Whenever consume animal or humans, they will stop the absorption of and digestion, all those things. The main anti-nutrients found were tannins, phytate, and flavonoids. These are all below permissible level only. No issue with that. But only problem with the total oxalate content is very high. Almost 6,000 mg per 100 grams of the sample. Alkaloids also high, and saponins also high. And we studied complete profiling of sugars present in silkworm pupa powder. We can see what are the sugars present in that. It contains ribose, arabinose, xylose, raminose, fructose, fructose, glucose, mannose, galactose, inositol, sorbitol, sucrose, maltose, and trehalose, as well as lactose. Out of all these sugars, all these are also in microgram level. But galactose content is very high. You can see galactose and sorbitol almost 41% sorbitol, and trehalose also very high, and galactose. These are the major sugars present in silkworm pupa. If you see the functions of those, they are sweeteners in chewing gums. In diabetic patients, they cannot consume the glucose or sucrose. Instead of that, these are quite good.
Glucose is also 247.6 microgram per gram.
Very less. Glucose is there, very minor, very less when compared with this one. Major components are sorbitol, galactose, and trehalose. There are several food industry applications like ice cream manufacturing, diabetic foods, and also pharmaceutical sweeteners, cryopreservation. Some of the applications were there. And we carried out complete profiling of amino acids. It contains both essential and non-essential amino acids. Even if you see even some soya bean and also fish, all those things, compare with them, silkworm pupa contains good amount of essential amino acids, so that we can go for manufacturing or formulations of any animal feeds. That is advantage with the silkworm pupa. And fish feed, if you want to make formulations, even those components are very high cost. But silkworm pupa is the waste product of reeling industry. Cost is not more than 30 rupees per kg. When we take soya bean or fish meal, cost is very high. And fatty acid profile also we carried out. It contains around 12 kinds of fatty acids, silkworm pupa oil contains, out of which it is rich of omega-3 fatty acids. Alpha-linolenic acid content is very high. You take 1 liter of silkworm pupa, it contains around 300 grams of alpha-linolenic acid. It is as good as flaxseed contains very good of alpha-linolenic acid. Even fish oil contains good source of omega-3. Similarly, silkworm pupa also contains. And phenolic acids also profiling completely carried out by using the LCMS. It also contains microgram per gram level only, and it contains benzoic acid, hydroxybenzoic and salicylate acid. But out of all these phenolic compounds, highest level is ferulic acid content is very high. Out of it, it is contains almost 78%. Okay, followed by gentisic acid and also coumaric acids. These are the major phenolic acids present in silkworm pupa. And we know functions of these bioactive compounds. They are very good antioxidants and also having anti-inflammatory properties, and also anti-diabetic, anti-ulcer, anti-platelet, and also anti-cancer properties. Flavonoid profile also we carried out. These are the main flavonoids present in silkworm pupa. Out of all the flavonoids, luteolin content is very high, almost 93% is luteolin only. And also contains quercetin, we know. It is very important anti-cancer agent. It also contains 1%. Same like phenolic compounds, flavonoids also having antioxidative, anti-tumor, anti-inflammatory, anti-obesity, anti-diabetic, and also reduces hypertension, metabolic syndrome, prostate cancer, renal cell carcinoma and leukemia. If you test any compounds, they show some activity and people publish it. It is having so many properties like that. But we know flavonoids well known for anti-cancer property. And in addition to that, complete protein, it contains almost 50% protein. We want to see what are those proteins. Then we analyzed by LCMS. Silkworm pupa contains 5,882 proteins. And majority of them are uncharacterized proteins. So far people not yet studied the proteins of silkworm, because very few are working on the silkworm. And followed by enzymes. Any biomass if you take, major proteins are enzymes only. All metabolic pathways made by the enzymes only. Mitochondrial proteins, common for any living system. Silk gland factors and silk proteins, receptor proteins, DNA binding, these are common in any kind of living cell. Same silkworm also contains all these proteins. But some of the proteins studied, silkworm also contains human growth hormone like proteins it contains. It is reported by 2014 by some scientists. And silkworm pupa hydrolysates induces mitochondrial dependent apoptosis and S-phase cycle arrest in human gastric cancer. So whenever we consume, it is good in preventing reducing the cancer. The protein present in pupa are also found to regulate blood glucose and lipid levels. These are literature based. Okay, if you come to the practicality, after silkworm reeling, usually people adopt two kinds of reeling. One is ARM, automated reeling machines are there. Like China, India also now they are promoting, majority of them using. If you put cocoon, it will take this thing, silk thread, and it will come out. And some people do the traditional kinds, multi-end like that. Cottage basin, small people. After completion of the silkworm reeling, pupa comes like this. You can see stop. With not completely, cocoon will not come. Comes with the pellet layer. Little silk will be there. Removal of that is very difficult. Each cocoon, we can't take and cut it. So there are some machines are there, units are there, sheet separator units are there. With some amount of NaOH we have to add in the water, and if you pass through that, it will completely remove that pellet layer. That pellet layer turns into the silk sheet that is having very high demand in some Western countries. They use for the blankets. Each sheet cost around blankets. Cost around even 5,000-6,000 like that. It is very good profit for the reeling unit if they practice it. And then pure pupa will come. You can see that. Then what we have to do? Immediately we have to dry it. Otherwise, like chicken, mutton, anything, if you keep outside, what happens? To spoil, all bacteria grow, they use all the proteins, nutrients, whatever we studied earlier, all protein profile, you don't see. They will be very less or they may be very high. All silkworm pupa turns into the bacterial proteins. They grow, they eat and they multiply it. So to avoid this, immediately we have to dry. But no reeler will practice that. Just they take the silk, then by end of evening they complete the process. They don't operate any ovens because electricity consumption is very high. It takes around 24 hours to dry. They don't dry in any ovens. Just they dump it, and some people will come next day, they collect it. By that time almost 50% of the pupa will be spoiled only, and that too they dry in the sunlight. Sunlight every day we can't ensure. Sometimes rain may come, sometimes we don't see the much. All that is like no uniform nutrient quality, and they dry some extent, not 100%, and they pack it and they send to the West Bengal. Reelers from the Karnataka reeling unit, wherever reeling units are there, for fish feed. Just they dump in the river, fish will consume, that's it. That is the present practice. But if you practice like this, after that step, if you can dry it by some oven like that, you will get very good uniform quality. We can make feed formulations, commercial feed formulations. This is conventional way of doing the silkworm pupa drying. Like that it will come. Even they don't remove pellet layer also. Some people practice like this, and they sun dry it, so very bad quality pupa will come. If you go near to those places, even we can't stand so much bad smell. It contains unsaturated fatty acids, proteins, and the very bad smell. You can't imagine. You can see that. But still people are not practicing much. Very few reelers are only drying properly and packing and selling good quality pupa. So we seen two kinds of pupa. In those two kinds of pupa, we studied complete bacterial analysis by using metagenomic analysis. Good quality pupa contains mostly firmicutes, that is bacillus. Other kind, SP2 means this one. SP1 is, this one. It contains mostly bacillus, all those kinds, lactobacillus. This contains so many kinds of bacteria. Because whatever the bacillus, it will grow and consume the proteins. Bacillus produces protease enzymes. So it degrades the proteins and consume and secretes so many other metabolites. So other bacteria will grow on. So whatever the sun-dried silkworm pupa is there. Okay. If you see complete bacterial profile, we studied mainly it contains Enterococcus. In case of the SP1, that is good quality pupa, contains 80% bacillus only. Bad quality pupa, you can see it contains diverse bacteria. It belongs to the so many genera. But whatever it is, once if you dry it, bacteria, you know that they die. If you over dry means no bacteria will be there. Okay, then we will see. Now we know what are the process to recover the pupa. Now what to do, we will see. Mainly pupa we can use for livestock feed. So our CSRTIMysuru, we collaborated with some other national institutes like NIANP, National Institute of Animal Nutrition and Physiology, ICR Institute in Bangalore, and also we collaborated with Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute in Calcutta, and we also collaborated with Central Food Technology Research Institute in Mysuru. With NIANP we made it cattle feeds and also sheep feed. With ICR we made the fish feed formulations. With CFTRI we made poultry feed formulations and foods for human consumption. And we studied complete nutrient profile of silkworm pupae, and it indicates that it is valuable. It contains valuable ingredients, and it could be used for livestock or animal feeds as an alternative to conventional protein sources such as soybean meal and groundnut cake. All other feed formulations, we know that mainly they use soybean meal or groundnut cake. So we can replace this with silkworm pupae. Okay, what we found finally, what we concluded in collaboration with the cattle and sheep feed formulations with NINP Bangalore is de-oiled silkworm pupae powder can be incorporated in ration of cattle up to 30% by replacing soybean meal without compromising the rumen fermentation, nutrient intake, digestibility of feed and microbial protein synthesis, and also health status of the animal. So what we studied with a different ratio of silkworm pupae replaced with soybean meal, and 30% is the ideal what we observed in cattle feed. But problem with cattle feed is in India so many are in vegetarians. If you feed with silkworm non-vegetarians, some ethical and moral issues comes. So we didn't take further large scale. Just we studied. This is not in the market. The further research we have not done. But that's what we can export. Further we have to take for that. And sheep feed formulations also we studied. Silkworm pupae meal as a source of bypass protein by replacing conventional protein of groundnut cake up to 75% in sheep diet. Sheep diet we can replace the almost 75% of conventional protein, whether it may be this thing, soybean or anything. And silkworm pupae oil can be incorporated in ration up to 15% without any detrimental effect and without any compromising the growth and nutrient utilization in sheep. These are the findings we observed in both cattle and sheep feed formulations with NINP. This project we completed almost 2 years back. Now we have to take for the large scale. And then we did some project with collaboration with Central Food Research Institute. They made one process. You know, silkworm pupae, critical layer will be there. You know, top. Once you dry it, that critical layer is quite hard. Whenever small chicks, if they consume, intestine, small abrasions we found because of that. Then blood will come out in the intestine. That they observed. So to overcome that, they adapted one bone, fish bone separator mission. There we can separate both pulp and cuticle. This cuticle is having rich of chitin, like all shrimps, that we can go for commercialization separately. And pulp we can use for feed formulations. It is very good adapting like this. Immediately we can dry like groundnut cake. We can store like months or years together. This we made with that. Yeah. There we conducted experiments on broiler as well as layers. What we observed is body weight gains of the broiler and also meat quality and meat yield, and also intestinal histopathological evaluation of broiler also all studied, and it was found that soybean meal with cuticle free, you see now we separated the cuticle, up to 6 to 15% we can replace with pulp, and fat free and cuticle free pupae up to 50% found suitable for boiled feed formulations, means they are not having any adverse effect, so we can go for this. Even we studied layer also with same CFTRI. Same similar things we observed. For layer studies also we can use silkworm pupae. Okay, in collaboration with ICAR, Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute, Calcutta, we made fish feed formulations. And there what we observed is for up to 75 to 100% soybean we can replace with silkworm pupae. And we studied both survival, growth performance, weight gain, feed conversion ratio, flesh quality of the fish fed with the silkworm pupae based fish feed. This trial was almost 56 days trials. And already we made product also, this we commercialized also. Patent also we made out of this, because making fish feed formulations not having much issue. Almost for the past few decades, people directly using pupa, so making formulations not at all issue. Okay. Then we see in livestock feed formulation applications. We see now we will see the human consumption and cosmetic applications of silkworm pupa. Silkworm pupa, just you can hydrolyze with the enzymes, so it breaks the proteins. And all acid hydrolysis, if you do it, then what comes? Individual amino acids we get it. All individual amino acids we can separate by using chromatography, mainly ion exchange we can use. So each individual amino acids we will get based on the flow rate, what we use the mobile phase solvent. We can collect it. In large scale, if you do it, each amino acid what present in silkworm pupa proteins, we can separate and we can market. We can go for market.
So this process is going to be very expensive if we are going to separate, high acid by using ion exchange for chromatography. Because the yield will be very low and input will be very high.
No, large scale, we have to design the thing. People are using for hair already commercialization of amino acids already available. Same technology we can adapt. Some amino acids directly we can extract through solvents. Some we need to go through the ion exchange.
Yes, better. So, can we directly dilute the protein with the help of a number of, proteases, and thereafter, we can separate the protein into the peptide fragments.
Yeah.
We can say directly peptide instead of the
I am telling about if you want to purify the amino acids completely, not as a peptide. It is for amino acid purification. Yeah. Each individual amino acids we can separate and we can market it. Pure form of amino acids. Glycine actually it contains very minute quantity. But importance of glycine is it is sweetener synthesis. And alanine, it contains around 11 mg for silkworm pupa proteins per gram of the protein. And alanine importance we know, flavor enhancer. Serine we can use in the cosmetics.
So is there any comparison of amino acid profile between larvae and pupae?
Difference is there.
The role of serine is very important.
Larvae, yes, it contains silk gland, it contains silk protein, but in pupa silk protein will not be there.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Now there is no use of cell protein, that's why the consumption of serine is very low in case of pupae.
Serine, this is.
Serine.
Amino acid. Yeah, their composition will vary.
Ideally, it should be very high in larvae.
Yeah.
Because larvae need to have a lot of serine.
Yeah.
Production of serine.
Fibrin and serine.
Yes.
And proline also we can use in saline, intravenous solutions. Because if you purify each amino acids, what is importance of that? How we can take further? That's what I want to tell you. Valine is essential amino acids, very rich in silkworm pupa. It contains 15 mg per gram. This also we can use in saline. Threonine also contains around 11 mg per gram of protein. It is very important in feed additives. Cysteine, very less quantity only. And methionine contains, it is essential, leucine is essential amino acids. It contains very good amount. This we can use in ingredient in food supplements. Aspartic acid contains 36 mg per gram. This also we know, we use as a flavor enhancer in so many commercial foods. Lysine, essential amino acids, it contains very high, almost 40 mg per gram. This is ingredient in food supplements. Glutamic acid we know, sodium glutamate, it is there as a flavor enhancer in almost all foods and also acts as a preservative. Very high amount, 45 mg per gram. Out of all amino acids, glutamate is very high in silkworm pupa powder. Methionine also have been very less methionine content. Even fish meal also very less. But silkworm pupa contains very rich source, almost 35 mg per gram. So in that aspect, we can prefer silkworm pupa. It also food additive. Histidine we know, we use for the therapy of ulcers, all those things. Phenylalanine also we can use in sweetener synthesis. arginine therapy for liver diseases, it is having lot of scope. Tyrosine also we use in some nerve disorders, L-dopa, all those things. Tryptophan also acts as a antioxidant. This someone they want to use silicon paper for commercialization of amino acids. These are the important things. Okay. Yeah, okay. In silicon paper, after proteins 50%, next major component is oil. 30% it contains. Yeah. Again, oil contains 30% of omega-3 fatty acids. And it is rich of alpha-linolenic acid. And this oil has both health and cosmetic benefits. We know that alpha-linolenic acid is very good in reduction of LDL, and it increases the HDL levels. We know if you go to the doctors due to any heart problems, first they see the blood profile, both LDL and HDL and cholesterol. They recommend fish oil tablets, all those things. Similarly, we can recommend silicon people oil also, because it is having cardiovascular, neuroprotective, anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory properties. In addition to that, any oil we use for the soap industry and glycerol manufacturing. So from silicon people oil, extraction of omega-3 fatty acid, we made process how to extract it. Generally people, they break the fatty acids, oil they break it, they purify the fatty acids. So we adapted the solid state fermentation technology. One fungus, it breaks specifically to the ALA in the oil component, that we purified it, that we made patent.
So is it approved by FDA for the human consumption?
Which one?
Pupae.
Yeah, approved by FDA. If you purify any oil is same, no? Like fish oil, this is also this thing, people oil, you can use. Okay, some of the cosmetic applications of silicon paper. We know that oil, once if you remove the fatty acids, next is glycerin only. For glycerin, all fatty acids will be bonding. No? But glycerin we can use for the skin, all that cosmetic applications, and creams, lotions and emulsions also we can use. And silicon people oil, some reports are there for graying of hair they are applying. That is there. And sodium and potassium soaps, all we can use directly people oil. People oil also we can use in hair tonics and face powders. You can see in literature, Google if you type, you found so many things. And since silicon people constitute anti-aging, antioxidant, antimicrobial, all these, because of these things we can use in cosmetology industry and manufacturing of skincare products we can use this. We know that silicon paper contains rich of proteins, and we made one experiment. Usually commercial production of protease enzyme, what we do in fermentation media, we use casein as a protein source, at least 1 to 2%. So we replaced with the silicon paper powder because it is also rich of proteins, and we studied when compared with casein, it is giving a high yield of protease enzyme. We fermented with Bacillus species, Bacillus subtilis. And we know protease is having so many applications. We use in therapeutics, animal feeds, and also biopolishing, prion protein degradation, contact lens cleaning, pest management, waste management, leather industry, detergent industry, food industry, and also biofilm, dairy industry, and peptide synthesis. Out of all enzymes, amylases, protease is having lot of scope, high demand. I think Cardiceps militaris, it is well known medicinal fungi. Like mushrooms we consume. Similarly, this fungus also grow and it forms the fruiting bodies. These are having very high demand. 1 kg of this fungus fruiting body cost is 1 lakh. So instead of going for silkworm for silk thread or reeling for cloth, even we can grow for this fungus. Because if you grow this fungus on silkworm paper, it contains the active ingredients are more in the fruiting body when compared with they grow on rice bran or wheat bran something. Because silkworm pupae is the natural host. And if you see in Tibet, morning people go to the field and they search for the dead insects with the disputing bodies. That is not Cordyceps militaris, that fungus is Cordyceps sinensis, species is different. That cost is 1 kg almost 10 lakhs. Daily as a job they go and search for that. Even very few grams they get also, they get lakhs of rupees without any investment.
Sir, it is also significant for the growth of Cordyceps purpurea. That is, that have the pharmaceutical importance much more than that of this
Militaris.
Militaris.
That also having, but militaris commonly people grow more, so I am telling this.
Actually, that is preferred to grow on the larvae compared to that of previous.
Yeah, they grow on live larvae and pupa both. Because importance of these Cordyceps fruiting bodies are, they are very important in treating cancer, strengthening immune system, improving athletic performance, and anti-aging and functioning of liver and kidney, etc. And we know pupa contains also chitin. Chitin we can convert into chitogen by removing that acetyl group on the chitin. It is also having some of the cosmetic applications. Okay, chitogen from silkworm pupa could be useful in cosmetic. That is both, it is having antioxidant, moisture absorption, antimicrobial, food and pharmaceutical applications. This is also one important. I think morning madam, I think taken session on sericin because it is having cosmetic applications. Sericin, it takes a lot of moisture. We can use in cosmetic applications. During degumming, it contains around 20 to 25% of that sericin. Okay, so far we seen only with spent pupa, that is byproduct of reeling industry. And directly, if we can also take the pupa as such, cocoon we can cut, we can use for human consumption. If you see in Assam, they eat directly eri pupa, not mulberry pupa, eri. It is big size with green color. Yeah. They only do sericulture for consumption of pupa, not for cloth manufacturing. And we know China, they eat any animal, they don't leave any animal. Everything they eat because, and Japan also they make some traditional food with silkworm pupa. Vietnam also they make some food like that. And Thailand they are making silkworm, fried silkworm, and they are marketing it. Even Amazon you can find that. Last one, you can buy it. Very tasty it is. Usually we hesitate insects because since childhood we think that we should not eat, so that mindset will be there, we don't eat. But some countries they eat. Even multi-volatile, cocoon cost is very less when compared with bio-volatile. Sometimes it is around 200 like that. So farmers they may get very loss. So that time what we can use, that pupa, that cocoons we can buy, we can make some food products whenever price is very low. That is. In collaboration with the Central Food Technology Research Institute, Mysuru, we made some of the food products with silkworm pupa. Pasta and cookies developed by incorporating with silkworm pupa and analyzed for all quality parameters such as physical characteristics, color and textural properties. Yeah. And they dried with different techniques, tray drying and drum drying and freeze drying, all those things. What they observed is cookies incorporated with tray drying is better in all color and structural properties. And whatever the cookies and pasta we developed, also we collected some people. We given a sample for taste, smell, all those things. Sensory evaluation we made it, and all were telling at 10% of people incorporating is very good. At 15% it is giving little smell, they are hesitant to eat, but 10% they are liking. Because eating these cookies also, another benefit is they are having good omega-3 fatty acids. It may increase the health status. Okay, not only the cookies and pasta, and they also prepared beverage mix and mayonnaise. Beverage mix by adding 10%, people are preferring consumption of milk, or directly you can mix in water and we can drink it. Like Boost, Bournvita, it gives all the nutrients we see. We can consume like that.
What is the meaning of rheological? Physiophysical and rheological.
All that softness and smell, all those things. Yeah. And even the eri, you know that we made some pickles and fried eri also we made it. This also we given to the people. It is taste like prawns pickle only. Very good taste only. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Yeruva's dedication to research and his extensive experience have truly enriched our understanding of cell-culture's potential. We thank him for sharing his expertise and shedding light on how silkworms can contribute to diverse fields. His in-depth insights into the innovative application of cell-culture byproducts have provided us with valuable knowledge and a broader perspective on sustainable practices. Once